Welcome back, YouTube family! I have finally pulled my head out of a bottle long enough to push out a baby. I am now the fattest I've ever been. It is time to put down the pizza. Anyway, you guys are here to learn how to safely and effectively gorge your face full of mushroom pizza. And on that, I can deliver, like my Uber Eats, which should be here any minute now. Now, before we begin, I have to make it perfectly clear that I do not recommend anyone watching consumes mushrooms. While they may be physically safe, as in no one has ever died from consuming too many mushrooms, on the psychological side of things, they can be downright deadly. And the best form of harm reduction is always just gonna be abstinence. Just don't touch it. I am creating this video because people are going to eat them anyway, and if you're gonna do something, you might as well learn how to do it safely, because if you don't, you might end up hurting yourself or others, or worse. Step 1. Choose or identify your strain. Mushrooms can come in a variety of shapes, sizes, and most importantly, potencies. Since we are now in a world filled with mushroom chocolates, mushroom gummies, mushroom teas, mushroom pizza, it is more important than ever to know exactly how potent the mushrooms are. For example, a lot of the chocolates that I have were made with penis envy. And no, we're not talking about how I personally feel when I look at a BBC. That is the name of the strain. This strain contains at least twice as much psilocybin as traditional cubes, known as psilocybe cubensis. Cubes generally contain around 0.5 to 1% psilocybin by dried weight, and anywhere from 0 to 0.5% psilocin. And for my fellow drug nerds, if you guys are wondering what happens in the brain and body when you consume these chemicals, I'll quickly break it down. Psilocybin readily metabolizes into psilocin in the body via I can never say this word, dephosphorylation. The enzyme known as alkaline phosphatase knocks off that phosphate group, transforming the psilocybin into the psilocin. Psilocin then binds to the serotonin receptors, primarily the 5-HT2A receptor, which scientists believe is responsible across the board for most psychedelics for most of their effects. As for mushrooms, it is our culprit, psilocin, also known as 4-hydroxy-DMT. That is what F's us up. Perhaps it works as a tuning fork that allows our brains to tap into different frequencies, kind of like a radio, changing the dial, which allows us to encounter all of these mystical beings, or perhaps it's just all some shit that you're making up in your brain that is depending on how you were pre-programmed as a child, religious beliefs, this and that. Who the freaking heck knows what is actually going on? And I'm not going to pretend that I know. But it's still fun to hypothesize on all the different things that might be going on, especially considering that there's probably a lot going on that we currently just don't understand. Step 2. Choose your difficulty setting. The late great Terence McKenna always said, 5 grams in silent darkness. Please dismiss my horrible impersonation of him. Terence McKenna iconically created the standardized now hero's dose. He even went as far as to claim that anybody who consumed less than this was, well, basically a baby. Little did Terence know we were going to evolve into a society of babies. So let's take some much needed baby steps. Unless, of course, screaming as you're being strapped into a hospital gurney is your idea of a fun time. It's not mine, but hey, teach their own, right? The truth is, a 5-gram dose, even of regular cubes, is going to smash through the average person's tolerance for punishment like a freaking tsunami. So what I'm going to propose to you is let's break down a more, user-friendly dosage guide. A more realistic dosage guide. That isn't one of two extremes. Either you're blasted to oblivion or you're a baby. Let's talk about it in real world terms. We'll start with easy mode. This is generally considered between 0.5 to 1 gram of dried shrooms, with psilocybe cubensis being the base model for potency relativity. Normal mode can be seen from somewhere between 1.5 to 3 grams. Hard mode, that's 3.5 to 5 grams. And master mode would be anywhere from 5.5 to 10 grams. And finally, ascension to the gods, with severe risk of PTSD and permanent changes not usually positive to your personality, would be anywhere from 10 to 20 grams. Bear in mind, I am playfully spitting out these numbers. One could realistically meet their religious idols in as little as 2 grams of penis envy. And a person can be permanently changed for better or worse in as few as 2 to 3 grams of regular cubes. And you guys know what else can change you, hopefully for the better? Merrick Health. This video's sponsor. Okay, no, that was super cheesy. Merrick Health is a hormone optimization clinic. Over 4 years ago, I went on TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, but the guys that I had monitoring my blood work were doing an absolute garbage job. They honestly just really didn't care. So then when I joined up with Merrick Health, one of their professionals went over my blood work. I was able to see so many problems with my health that I couldn't just see before, because your blood really does tell you everything. So I don't want it to sound like I'm over here saying everyone needs to get on TRT. I'm not saying that. Merrick Health is going to help you optimize all of your hormonal blood markers. They can identify things like bad sleep patterns, things that you need to change in your diet, and then they can give you a personalized, tailored plan to help fix those things. And hey, maybe something that does need to fix is your testosterone is low. I think my testosterone was low just because when I was a kid, my parents made me a vegetarian and they didn't allow me to grow up eating meat. Because when I finally did go on TRT, my voice deepened, I started growing a thicker beard, I saw a lot of benefits. Anyway, I cannot speak highly enough of Merrick Health. Their knowledge of just all of the biomarkers and what to look for, it far succeeded what my doctor knew. And if you guys want to get a great 10% discount code as seen on my whiteboard, you can head over to Merrick Health right now, use the code PsychSubstance and save 10%. Let's jump back into today's video. Cheers. And a person can be permanently changed for better or worse in as few as 2 to 3 grams of regular cubes. Suffice to say, individual sensitivity varies dramatically. Mushrooms are not to be taken lightly. They will destroy you, even if you think you respect them. That all being said, even when you do decide on what dose to take, it is always the safest practice to start small. You can always take more. You cannot take less. I would say always start maximum on a normal mode difficulty before advancing to a more difficult mode. And if you've never tried a psychedelic before, definitely start at easy mode. Don't push it. Don't try to show off to your friends. Tame that ego, or else the mushrooms will tame it for you. But anyway, let's lighten the mood back up just for a millisecond here. In order to first choose the right difficulty setting for you, you must first know the potency of the mushrooms you have. For instance, if you did have penis envy, you would cut all these numbers I just said in half, because penis envy are twice as strong as cubes, and those numbers were directed towards cubes. So for example, with penis envy, easy mode would be like 0.2 to 0.5 grams. Normal, 0.7 to 1.5, and so on and so forth. But that's not all. That's not all, folks. It's not like there's just 2 strains of mushrooms. There are dozens of strains of psilocybin mushrooms, which is why you need to Google, or at least know ahead of time when you get your mushrooms, however you get them, I can't really discuss that stuff here, what strain you have so you can accurately figure out the potency. And I say accurately loosely because even mushrooms from the same from the same substrate can have different potencies depending on what flush they're from. One mushroom from the same bag of shrooms could be twice as strong as another mushroom of equal size. It's really impossible to know sometimes. For this reason, it is first recommended, if you do want to be as accurate as possible, to take all of the mushrooms that you have, like say you got a bag of them, and then get a mortar and pestle or just a blender like a coffee grinder, I don't know, whatever the heck you want to use, crush them all up into a homogeneous mixture, make it into, a fine powder. And that way, at least you know that every time you consume, this mushroom powder, it's evenly dosed. So you're not going to get one mushroom that's twice as strong as the other mushroom because it's all been mixed together. See, you got to use some common sense here and you get around some of these hurdles.
Oh boy, this could take a while.
So I just waited, and to put things in perspective, guys, this is 8 grams. This is what 8 grams of ground up golden teachers looks like. It looks like nothing, but this is a frickin' master mode level dose. It really doesn't look like much. I just want to show you this. That's why you absolutely need a frickin' scale. Step 3, choose your sitter. A trip sitter is essentially a babysitter that's present there to take care of you during your psychedelic experience. And don't think it means you're weak. Even the most advanced psychonauts can benefit from having a seasoned, well-intentioned trip sitter present. And this is because, as I said, psychedelics, well, they're not really predictable. Definitely not in the same way that more base level compounds are, like, Coke or alcohol. Now, the ideal trip sitter is going to be someone whom you feel completely comfortable around. Ideally, you'd be cool with them seeing you naked, because I mean, for all you know, you might realize that clothes are this alien thing on your body, and you just got to strip down into your birthday suit, and you better be cool with them seeing that shit. They better be cool with seeing you in that shit. Hopefully, they don't actually want to see you that way, because then they might take advantage of you. So, like, you got to, there's got to be some strong boundaries in place here. And of course, it goes without saying, the best trip sitter is someone you love. This can be a partner, romantic interest, a family member, a close friend, just somebody that you have some deep history with and that hopefully has seen you vulnerable before, because you're probably going to get quite vulnerable. It would also help if the trip sitter understands what makes a good trip sitter, so they don't inadvertently do things that are well-intentioned to make your trip worse. Because we all know what they say about, good intentions. You might think they're good, but yeah, you got to be careful, especially when someone is as suggestible as they are in the psychedelic state. Anyway, what makes a good trip sitter in detail is a topic for another video. I will link one somewhere up here. Step 4, prime your mind. You must prep your mind before you even think about embarking on this quest. You must take this very seriously, especially if you're planning on stepping into high-dose territory. Mushrooms can rip you out of this reality, akin to ripping a page out of a book. And that page may never be, taped back into that book again, notwithstanding evidence that it was in fact once ripped out. There will be scars. An ill-equipped journey can cause permanent psychological scarring and emotional scarring. The primary problem that I see is most folks really do think that they can handle way more than they actually can. And I've seen it the other way too, where people think they can't handle anything, and then they're just like a freaking champ. They're just a beast, and they can just take these massive doses. And it's sometimes the people you would never expect that can really hold their shit. It's generally the people who think they can hold their shit that can't hold their shit. And the people who don't think they can hold their shit together are for some reason better at doing it. Why is everything backwards town over here? A good example is, have you guys ever seen that show Alone? They basically take like 10 contestants, drop them off on an island. A lot of it was done on Vancouver Island. And they're given 10 items, and that's it. And they're completely alone, and they have to film themselves while they try to survive. They got to hunt on their own. They got to collect food. They got to build their shelter on their own. And most of the people who go on that show think they're going to win. Everyone's so confident in the beginning, but then sure enough, by the second day, there's always like 2 or 3 people that tapped out already. Sometimes they don't even make it a day. It's like the second they hear a bear or a cougar in the distance, they just immediately tap the out. It's like, dude, were you not prepped? Did you not research the show? Did you not watch episodes before? Did you not even look at your surroundings to see that, yes, there's bears and cougars here. They're gonna make noises at night. Can you really blame them? If you've never been tested like that before, then you don't actually know if you can handle it or how you're gonna behave in that situation. Anyway, if you truly have not experienced average to high dose of psychedelics before, or specifically mushrooms, which are they can be particularly vicious, then you really don't know what the experience is going to feel like until you're in it. You have no idea. You're just guessing. You don't know how you're going to respond to it. Just like these contestants being alone who just tap out after day 1. And if you've never had to calm yourself down while you were in the midst of a bad trip, right at the ledge, thinking you were going to jump, metaphorically speaking, then how do you know that you have the capacity to calm yourself down if that scenario were to happen? The psychedelic experience can feel more alien than anything you have ever experienced in your life. It can also feel incredibly blissful and eye-opening, and religious to some degree. All of this depends primarily on your set and setting. Step 5, set and setting. Set refers to one's inner feelings and mood. Setting refers to one's environment. And to have the ideal psychedelic experience, both of these must be properly cultivated, hopefully many moons in advance. It is ideal to only trip when you are in good spirits and during a period when nothing supremely devastating has happened in your life, especially not recently. Loss of a job, loss of a relationship, loved ones, loss of home, anything that is severely taxing is going to cause the psychedelics to produce much more anxiety than you may know how to handle. But on the flip side of this coin, many people do pursue a mushroom experience because they did go through something traumatic, and they're hoping the mushrooms can open their eyes to see things from a new perspective to help them through that trauma. That being said, they may think they're prepared, but it is really, really vital that you still proceed with caution. Now, setting, on the other hand, the place you're in is much more easy to control. What this means is you must consume mushrooms in an environment, in a place that feels safe and comfortable to you, and ideally a place that has variables that are in your control. Like, you can control the temperature, you can control if you want to go in or outside, you can control the music, you can control where you're laying and moving around to. This is important because you generally cannot control what you're going to experience during the trip, so having some control, at least on your own personal levels of comfort and feelings of safety, helps tenfold. Now, it is usually best to have these experiences in the comfort of your own home, not at a friend's house, definitely not at no parties or clubs, and ideally not at a festival, not for your first time ever. Because remember, it is very important that you feel perfectly safe, comfortable, and in control of your surroundings. That is how you create a positive setting, a good atmosphere. Step 6, the emergency escape hatch. If one were to present to the emergency room in the throes of a bad experience, the doctors would likely dose them up with some benzodiazepines to calm them down. These include compounds such as Xanax, Ativan, Valium, or Klonopin, basically alprazolam, lorazepam, diazepam, and clonazepam. But there's many more benzos than that. Virtually any benzodiazepine can work. Even benzodiazepine's new relatives, what's it called? Zopiclone. I don't know, am I saying it right? Zopiclone. That can work as well. But I must warn you, Zopiclone has the most foul, disgusting, bitter, horrendous taste out of any drug I've ever tried in my entire life. So much so that I could still taste it in my mouth 8 hours later. It was putrid. Do not chew Zopiclone. On the other side of this, if you are wanting to kill a trip quickly, chewing a traditional benzo will allow it to kick in faster, and it should snap you back to reality faster. Basically, benzos for short have a very unique effect when taken during someone who's having a psychedelic episode. They really do snap you right out of it, kind of like you're playing Pokemon and you're in a dark cave and you use the escape rope. It just teleports you straight to the last Pokemon Center you were at. Basically, benzodiazepines bind to the GABA-A receptor in the brain, and the result is very calming. When consumed, the central nervous system relaxes and chills the F out. And when in the throes of a serious bad trip, this eject button might be the only way to snap someone out of the horrors that they're facing. I personally would not recommend going into any psychedelic trip, even in average doses, without having a benzo handy just in case you needed to eject. Sometimes just knowing that you have that option to kill the trip helps calm you down, because then you don't feel so trapped in it. Step 7, integrate, bitch. Integrate. During these experiences, it is very possible to meet God, visit other planets, have aliens come and visit you, turn into a complete schizophrenic. The experiences really are intense, and they often do force you to think about it for many days, weeks, months, sometimes even years after. I have some trips that I'm still thinking about, and they happened 12 years ago. I mean, some people after an intense trip will start questioning everything that they think they know. It'll cause them to actually rethink their life. Other people will take a psychedelic, and it'll just be akin to visiting the amusement park. Like, oh, it was fun. I went on some rides. I saw some pretty colors. Woo! And absolutely nothing will change. They'll be the same asshole they were before they took the psychedelics and after. It's not going to turn everyone into, I don't know, the Dalai Lama or something. And of course, there's really no way of telling what type of reaction any individual is going to have or at what time they're going to have said reaction. I mean, it's possible for someone to have 30 trips in a row and they're all fun roller coaster rides and then have that one that just hits different. And now they are never the same. Basically, don't get cocky. Pride comes before the fall. And always treat these compounds with the utmost of respect, or else you will be punished. And of course, respecting it means valuing your experience enough to journal down your thoughts about it, meditate on it, do whatever you need to do. Just spend some time actually reflecting on what the F happened. And of course, above all, remember that whatever happened, no matter how crazy, unbelievable, inexplainable, it was still all just a trip. I mean, at least that's what some of us seasoned guys like to tell ourselves to sleep at night. I mean, sometimes for our own sanity, we have to believe it was just a trip. Anyway, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. I know I've been gone for a while. I'm coming back, maybe, hopefully. Pray for me. And yeah, leave your questions below if there's anything I left unanswered. Please, I'd love to answer your questions in the comments. As always, if you do support my content, we really need your help on Patreon. I've got videos on Patreon that I have not shown anywhere else, and I am working on creating more. I've got a whole list of 20 videos currently that need to be posted to Patreon. Just got to sit down and get that shit up there. So all my patrons will be rewarded soon for having the patience of sticking with me. But yeah, you can subscribe to our Patreon, which helps support the channel, and see stuff that I can't show on YouTube. Till next time, guys, if you enjoyed this, hit a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next one. Cheers.